Hello! Those of you who have been here for a while may have been following my Paddling in Independent Publishers series, where I read 5 books from an independent publisher that I haven't necessarily explored before. If you're new, that's the roundup of what this is, and this time around I have been looking into Bluemoose books. So I've now finished all 5 of the Bluemoose books. I will link the playlist down below. All the individual reviews are there. This is not going to be individual reviews, so if you want to know my individual thoughts on these books, check out those reviews and then come back to this video, because this is going to be a roundup of my experience with Bluemoose as a publisher. Now, the only other publisher that I've done so far was Salt Books, and I absolutely adored Salt Books. Again, videos linked down below in the playlist, check those out if you want to. Because I loved Salt Books so much, I think Bluemoose had quite a lot to live up to, and I've got to be honest, I don't think these are a publisher for me, but then that's not to say that they're not going to be for everyone, and I don't want this to be a video where I completely trash Bluemoose books. I think they have definite plus points, which I will go into later. Now, the first thing I will talk about is my buying experience from Bluemoose. So I bought off of Bluemoose's website, which I will link down below, and I bought these books over a year ago now, and they were on offer 2 for £10 because Bluemoose were having an anniversary sale kind of thing. I don't know if that's still a thing, I highly doubt it, but that was the reason that I sort of gravitated towards this publisher. That said, Salt Books, for instance, have free shipping. So even though the books were a bit more expensive, the shipping was free, whereas with these I got excited because they were 2 for £10, but the shipping was pretty pricey. I can't remember exactly how much, but I know that it was enough to boost the books up to the price that I paid for the Salt Books. So it was quite a lot, and I think it kind of overrid the fact that they were on offer. If they weren't on offer, I definitely wouldn't have probably bought them. It would have been very expensive. But then I was buying 4 books at one time. I already had 1 Bluemoose book. So, you know, that's a lot of books to buy at one time, especially to get them delivered. See, the package would have been quite heavy, so that's why the shipping was so expensive. I had just been spoiled with Salt's free shipping policy, but anyway. So I'll just talk you quickly through the books that I read if you haven't wanted to check out the individual reviews. I read The Less Than Perfect Legend of Donna Creosote by Dan Micklethwaite. I read The Handsworth Times by Sharon Duggal. I read If You Look For Me, I Am Not Here by Surya Srivatsa. I read Stranger Than Kindness by Mark A. Radcliffe, and I finished off with Tainted Love by Anna Chilvers. In terms of the books I really enjoyed, this was by far my favourite. If You Look For Me, I'm Not Here. This was one that really blew me out of the water. It's set in India and it looks at issues of gender, and I just found it truly, truly fascinating, and this is a book that I probably would return to and I will definitely be keeping. Sadly, the other books, not so much. I did enjoy Tainted Love, which I read last. I put this one off for a long time because it's the thickest of them all. But actually, the way that Bluemoose present their books, they're quite, I don't know, the writing's not particularly big, but I think they've got large margins and the paper's quite thick. So they're really, really quick to get through. All of these were pretty quick to get through, to be honest. Tainted Love I did enjoy. I don't know if it's one that I would ever revisit or that I would keep. It was a 3-star for me, and I probably will be giving it away, but it was definitely a pleasant experience to read it. As for the other books, I kind of had mixed feelings. The Less Than Perfect Legend of Donna Creosote, in fact, all of these, I kind of had the same feelings about them. The editing wasn't fantastic, and I felt like they were just all kind of manuscripts that needed a lot more work. Especially The Perfect Legend of Donna Creosote. It's kind of a book that doesn't have any real substance to it, and it's very strange. It doesn't have any real... Not that it doesn't have substance, it has building and it has character building and all the rest of it, but it doesn't have a sort of overall driving narrative, or, you know, normally in a book you solve some sort of problem, you stick a character up a tree and get them down again. And I don't always think that's necessary, but I think with a book like this, it was very much a case of he stuck Donna Creosote up a tree and then nothing really came of it. I don't know, it was really bizarre. I said in my review I was surprised that this was published the way it was, and I am. Stranger Than Kindness, again, the editing wasn't fantastic. I think the layout was a bit strange, and also there were some real issues with what the book was trying to say. I think it kind of there were some really sexist issues, shall we say, that really grated on me, but also the writing wasn't that fantastic, and I thought the overall storyline was a little bit bland. And the Handsworth Times, much like Donna Creosote, I felt like this was a nothing book. It was fine. I think it nicely captured a time and a place, but the writing again wasn't fantastic, and the plot was pretty underdeveloped, and the speech in this was really problematic. It was so stilted, it was quite off-putting, and it sort of took you out of the characters because the speech was just so, like, if you were to speak it out loud it would just be robotic, and just really, it didn't work. So predominantly my issues with these books were the editing, I think, and the fact that a proofreader should have gone through them, I feel, and just tweaked a few things. Like, that's the irritating thing. It was always small issues that could have been tweaked in a matter of weeks, but they were left, and I feel like that's, you know, like Donna Creosote, one extra scene on the end would have probably wrapped things up. And at the Handsworth Times, as I say, changing the speech would have completely changed the reading experience. And with Stranger Than Kindness, I think looking more deeply into the way that certain things were portrayed, you know, a few tweaks of words here and there, and it would have been an okay book. But I feel like what I like about Bluemoose, and what also probably puts me off a little bit about them, I feel like they take writers who perhaps aren't top of their game yet, you know, who are just starting out or getting into the habit of writing books. I feel like these manuscripts are manuscripts that might not have been published elsewhere, and I like the fact that Bluemoose are publishing these books because I think everybody deserves a chance to be read, and they've certainly got enough in them to justify their being published. As I say, it's just irritating to me that there were a few little things that I feel could have been altered to make the books so much better, but I think that's purely a case of editing. There were also quite a few typos and things in these books, and in terms of the actual manufacture of them, the pages you can't really see, but the page is very much what a self-published book feels like it's not book paper necessarily, it's kind of different. It's like white shiny paper almost. They're like that, so they're not the most amazingly published. I don't know. It's difficult because I don't want to tarnish Bluemoose books, and I still think what they do is fantastic. What any independent publisher does is fantastic. For me, I don't think I'll be revisiting Bluemoose. I had a bit of a disappointing journey. That said, in my review certainly of the Handsworth Times, a few people said it was their favourite book of last year, because Mercedes gave this out in the Moth box at the beginning of last year, so quite a few people on BookTube read it, and a lot of them said this was their favourite book of the year. So, you know, it might be purely that these books do not match my taste, although, you know, The Less Than Perfect Legend of Donna Creosote, on the blurb, it seems like the book that should perfectly suit me. This woman is living a fairy tale, as it were. But yeah, it didn't work for me. If they sound like they would be your cup of tea, I would still recommend getting them. I think supporting independent publishers is the best thing we can do. But yeah, as I say, wasn't the best time for me. So I'm going to be doing one more publisher in this series, and that I will not reveal yet because it's a surprise and I can't remember what they're called, but I do know who I'm doing. But I haven't bought the books yet, so it might be a while, because, you know, money and stuff. But I will be doing one more publisher at some stage in the future, hopefully not too far away. And then I think I might call it a day for this series, unless I find a publisher that I'm desperate to do. I've really enjoyed this experience, and I really liked reading independent publishers and talking about independent publishers, and I hope you guys are enjoying it too. If you have any other publishers that you do think I should consider in the future, please let me know down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!